Hello, hello, beautiful soul. I pray that this beginning week of August is finding you well. I am just back from a visit to Copenhagen, where I got to spend some time with my dear friend Helena Philipson and David Morris, while preparing to drop my child off at Efterskole, which is an international boarding school experience for kids between 15 and 17. It's a thing. So 1 year, well, it's actually 9 months. I keep reminding myself. And I want to talk to you today in continuation of my previous talks about surrender. Surrender has been a major challenge for this type A, perfectionist, do, prove yourself kind of a girl. The idea of surrender in the past looked like giving up, lowering standards, giving in. So all of the talk around surrender for me in the past was very negative. But I met some people in a 12-step fellowship who were talking about surrender as an active process of inviting the divine, your higher power, God, the universe, to be with you, to commune with you, to change you, to mold you, to inspire you, to direct you. And so this is something that I've taken on for about 10 months. I've been looking at surrender as a spiritual process of offering myself to the divine, letting go of my egoic, fixed ideas about how things should be. So, as a parent, letting my child go to an international boarding school in another country, that could be a big thing. In my case, I've been with my daughter for 15 years straight as a solo parent, and yeah, I could just tell she was ready to spread her wings and establish her own personality in the world. She was ready for social contact. She wants to be outside of France. I love France. So on the one hand, it wasn't a big surrender for me because I'm very, very close with my daughter. I know what she needs and wants, and I want to honor that. On the other hand, she said something when I dropped her off. She was like, "You no longer get to micromanage my day." And it's true. I have set everything up. When she decided to go vegan, I set everything up and learned all of these cooking techniques to make sure that she was never lacking in any protein or amino acid or substance or fatty acid. And it's true that I have been very open and allowing in the way that we structure her school at home and all of that, but I've been very calculated. So this idea around surrender for me has been, I am surrendering to the divine to care for and protect my daughter. I am surrendering to life and knowing and trusting that my daughter is intelligent. She's going to be able to make her way in the world. She's in a protected environment. She will be safe and okay. Now, the biggest part of my surrender at this moment in 2021 is around my life and my career. It started happening over the last few years. I've been feeling this pull to get back into healthcare. And I say healthcare because in America, it's actually sick care. And that's what drove me out of the system. I didn't want to be a part of it. So 15 years ago, when I gave birth to my daughter, I went on maternity leave. And that maternity leave turned into, I'm done with medicine as it's practiced by most people. But over the course of these 15 years, I have led retreats, I have written books, I have lectured, I have done TED Talks, I've done TV shows, still around education in health, but more of a holistic healing approach to reconnecting with the authentic self, healing past trauma, coming out of denial about family dysfunction, abuse, and trauma, especially in my own life. And last year, I was given an opportunity to really look at, well, we all were with the pandemic. We were all given this golden opportunity to really look at our lives, how they are structured, our work, our relationships. What do we want more of? What do we want less of? And what are we saying no more to? And I am not immune to that. I took part in that grand reset. And I looked at my current businesses and how they're set up and made some changes at Make Your Mark Global. And I wasn't sure. I felt my heart was pulling me to really work on innate vitality, which is a functional medicine, holistic healing platform that involves media, education, supplements, and retreats, I knew that that's where I was feeling pulled. But I love communications. I love my publishing company. I love my authors. I love doing speaker training and all of these empowerment things for light workers. But I was feeling this pull. So one of the things I did as I started this surrender process for me is I just sort of made a declaration. Okay, God, universe, higher self, you know what I'm into? And that is decreasing suffering on the planet. You know what I'm good at? That's communications, teaching, facilitating, healing, being a little bit of a neuroscience nerd. And I want to use all of my skills and talents for the highest good. And however that looks, I'm not going to tie it to some revenue goal or some egoic outcome. I just want to be of service. And so as I took these steps of surrendering, things started to show up. And little blessings, synchronicities, which I know now is just the divine. But something interesting happened over the last few weeks. My dear friend, Dr. Jill Stalker, and I went to spend some time with the beautiful Soul Whitefire, a medicine woman in Iceland. And I went on a magical journey, a sacred ceremony with Icelandic mushrooms while I was there. And I experienced this very common experience with psychedelics, and that is the dissolution of the ego. I felt myself, well, it wasn't an instant melting. I felt like struggles with letting go, but once I let go and surrendered, I dissolved into oneness, into energy, into light, into what I call divine or love, whatever. But coming out of that experience, there were some takeaway messages that were so strong and pervasive. One of them is about all the stories that this version of reality is made up on. Like, it's all stories. And I literally cracked my ass off. I was laughing for 2.5 hours straight at the beginning of that ceremony. And then there were some tears, and then there was some just zen. But one of the things that has come as a result of my own healing journey, healing from decades of sadness and imposter syndrome and perfectionism, healing from that and then sharing it on stage and in my retreats and workshops has been very rewarding for me, because there have been thousands, if not millions of people who've said, me too. That was my experience as well. And they've been touched and supported by the healing modalities that I've shared. And the one thing that many people keep asking about is, should I do psychedelics? I mean, if you already had your healing experience, I did, after my near-death experience in 2005, people are saying, well, why would you do psychedelics? And why would you continue to do ceremonies if you've already experienced that oneness with God and knowing who you really are and that you're totally lovable? And then they ask, well, should I do it? And for many people, this is a foreign concept. They still think of, the drug war from the 60s and how we were programmed in the 70s as kids to think that all drugs are bad. And what I've decided to do is begin a process of study and training and certification to facilitate therapeutic journeys with psychedelics, including psilocybin in the places where that's legal, ketamine, for example, in the United States and in Holland. And I will continue to attend ayahuasca ceremonies with qualified shamans. The shaman path is not mine. I'm not trying to become that. But I've recognized that for some people, this is a journey that can help in healing trauma. It can help in just awakening to the truth of who you really are. And so it's been a big deal for me to think, wait a minute, going back, reinstating my medical license, getting this facilitator training. And so what I did while I was with Helena last week is decided to ask the universe for signs. So if you are in this process of trying to surrender and not wondering, well, what do I do? My ego wants to control. How do I wait on the universe? Well, one of the things that we did, and Helena's been doing this for a while, but I did this as kind of a test. I did it also when I was in Las Vegas this summer, but I sent out a message in my prayer, in my meditation. It was like, okay, I'm really thinking about Project X. If this is really where I need to go, universe, give me a sign. And I would wait to see what came up to mind. And either an image or a word came to mind. And I was like, okay, that's my sign. If I'm meant to do this, show me a sign. And the craziest thing happened. Within hours of setting that intention and releasing it, I got the sign. I got the messages. And so a lot of people, when they talk about surrender, they say that we're in communion with the divine, with the universe, and we can trust it. But one of the things that I had to do early on in this surrender process was I had to look back at my history. And when I did look back at every opportunity, great job, connection, money, when I look all the way back, even to my adolescence, every single blessing or big thing that happened in my life, from Discovery Channel to Oprah to earning $1 million, all of it, it was not done by my egoic striving, my perfectionism, my hustling. Yes, I had done some preparation, but it was always some sort of divine connection, being in the right place at the right time with the right people, doing the right things. But it wasn't through this striving and efforting. And once I had that proof, it made these little journeys of surrendering a little easier, because I can trust, I can know that the divine is always supporting me. And so if you are trying to manifest money and you've been out there hustling, I would ask, what would be different if you knew that the divine were your boss? Or for the entrepreneurs out there, what would you do differently if you knew that the divine were your only client? How would you show up differently? Anyway, for me, I'm super excited about this, and I'm really interested to hear what your take is and what you're surrendering this summer. There's a lot of shifting and change going on in my life, you know, with my mother, preparing for her transition, with my daughter, with myself, like the collective, as we're all going through this re-entry and then maybe possible lockdowns again. There's a lot going on. But what if we could do this with greater awareness and consciousness at every step of the way? I look forward to hearing from you. I hope that you will type into the chat or send me a message and let me know where you are in this process. Sending you much love and divine blessings from the sunny French Riviera. Bye.